I joined Juniper pretty much 30 years ago.
Okay.
I had a very simple role back then in the silicon team developing, or helping verify actually small logic blocks for our ASICs back then. But then I took a career path through technology. I was a silicon engineer. I moved into management. Then I moved into product management. Then I moved into general management. Then I became the CEO of Juniper. I was very humbled and honored to have that responsibility. And I worked my way up from, the most junior person on the team to CEO.
So that was Rami Rahim, President and General Manager of HPE Networking, and our guest for today's episode of Technology Now.
Yes, and wow, that was quite an impressive story, working his way all the way to the top of a company. So, shall we get into the episode so we can hear a little bit more from Rami?
Yep, absolutely. I'm Michael Bird.
And I'm Sam Jarrell, and welcome to Technology Now from HPE.
Welcome back to Technology Now and our second episode from the wonderful HPE Discover Barcelona 2025. We're in a very big, noisy room with lots going on.
Yeah, it's the Discover Showcase. And that's right, Michael. HPE Discover Barcelona is a two-day event where industry professionals, HPE partners, and sponsors can all come to share ideas and make new connections. And given that you said we are interviewing Rami Rahim this week, I assume we are talking all about networking?
Yes, you are absolutely right. Rami was the CEO of Juniper Networks, who became part of HPE earlier this year.
So now we have both HPE Juniper Networking and HPE Aruba Networking in our portfolio. What's the difference?
Sam, that is an excellent question. I'm so glad you asked, but I'm not going to give you an answer because I want to leave it up to our guest to explain that, as it is his area of expertise. Now, earlier during HPE Discover Barcelona, I had the chance to talk to Rami Rahim, Executive Vice President, and General Manager of HPE Networking. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, you've just finished your speech.
Yes.
How did it go?
I think it went great. I got a lot of positive feedback. And I think it comes down to the fact that when you really, truly believe in what you're talking about, in this case, the many great innovations and technologies that we have been working on since the close of this acquisition, it comes across.
Yeah.
And I think it sort of came across here.
Absolutely. And I believe this is your first HPE Discover. How are you finding it?
Actually, it's my second
Okay.
HPE Discover. I did attend last year's, but as a guest, because the deal had not closed yet.
In disguise.
In disguise. Actually, not so disguised. But this year, it definitely hits different because I'm an HPE employee. And obviously, I had much more access, a lot of great meetings, customer conversations, the big stage appearance. And we're not done yet because there's more to come tomorrow.
And what has been your highlight so far of HPE Discover Barcelona?
So I'm a geek. I love technology. I love products. So the highlight for me are just the products, the technology, not just within HPE networking, but if you walk on the show floor here and you see the unbelievable technology across compute, storage, networking, hybrid cloud, software, artificial intelligence, it's pretty amazing. It's like you are a kid in the candy store. And of course, in HPE networking, we have been working very hard since the close and combining our portfolios and doing something that's really special for our customers. And the progress we've made is pretty amazing.
All right, let's clear up some common misconceptions, because I think when a lot of people think of networking, they think of Wi-Fi, but networking is far more than just Wi-Fi, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, networking is everything. And now networking to HPE networking is Wi-Fi, wired switching, security, wide area networking, data center networking, AI data center networking, routing infrastructure solutions. It's a full stack of capabilities and solutions. I mean, we have the ability to address any networking use cases and any security embedded in networking use case for practically any industry, cloud providers, telcos, enterprises, you name it.
What are the different categories of networks that we have?
I think the best way to think about it is in four distinct technology pillars that we really focus on at HPE Networking. There's data center networks, of course, routing infrastructure solutions that are the most mission critical networks carrying wide area network for telcos and large cloud providers, and even enterprises that choose to run their own wide area networks, campus and branch, wired and wireless infrastructure, and of course, security, which includes all aspects of security embedded in networking.
What does the HPE networking portfolio look like? And how has it changed since the acquisition?
Well, it's a totally different business right now. It's far more comprehensive. In terms of what it looks like, I mean, it looks awesome, first. Second, I think it's good to start with our vision. Our vision is around self-driving networks that truly have the ability to delight customers or those that use the network to do practically anything today, and network operators, the heroes that are running these networks each and every day. So the best way to achieve that objective is through a self-driving networks that essentially configure themselves, run themselves, diagnose themselves, optimize themselves. When there is an issue, they will self-remediate and address these issues well before anybody that uses a network has the ability to even detect that there was a problem to begin with. That is the vision. And the good news is that vision is becoming more and more of a reality because of the technology that we have now inherited from both HPE Aruba Central and also Juniper Mist. The AI ops that we have developed and the agentic AI we've developed as part of these platforms is second to none in the industry, and we're applying it across every layer of the technology stack.
And that's something that, 10 years ago just wasn't even conceivable, that sort of self-driving networks. It was very labor intensive, very just hard to wrap your head around.
The progress that has been made towards the vision of a self-driving network over the last 10 years has been staggering, starting with, data collection to insights to assisted self-driving. And now with agentic, really the opportunity is completely self-driving, where the network operator can literally take their hands off the wheel and let the network run itself.
Wow. So do the portfolios of HPE Aruba Networking and HPE Juniper Networking, do they overlap at all?
I mean, there are areas where if you look at it from a distance, they might look like they overlap. And the one obvious area that customers ask me about would be in the campus and branch, where HPE Aruba Networking and HPE Juniper Networking have access points, have campus switches. But if you take a closer look, really these two platforms have unique strengths. Mist was developed as a cloud platform, and Aruba Central has much more of a diverse deployment model from virtual private cloud, on-prem, etc. So together, we can support every single deployment model under the sun. And the beautiful thing, this is what I talked about in my keynote just today, is that the approach we're taking is to cross-pollinate the best of each platform onto the other. And in so doing, we're accelerating the pace of innovation for all of our customers without leaving any customer left behind. That message, by the way, was incredibly well received. And that's what we're executing on. And, some customers were saying, well, that's years out. No, it's not years out. We're actually introducing the first set of microservices that we're cross-pollinating just weeks away from here.
You've worked in the world of networking for a fair few years. How have you seen networking change in the last 30 years?
I mean, I had a front row seat way back when I joined Juniper at the explosion of the internet. Back then, there was nothing in the industry that could keep up with the pace of growth of the internet. And this is why many customers had no choice but to bet on a small upstart, a startup company like Juniper that could develop the technology that can keep up with the scale of what was happening in the network. But I mean, the network has evolved a lot since then. We've gone from the internet to mobile computing to cloud computing, and now we're in the era of AI. And as important as the network back in the era of the internet, networking now in the era of AI is even more important. I mean, it really is an exciting time to be in networking today, just because of how critical everybody sees the network is to practically doing anything today.
How has AI impacted the way that we think about our networks, how we architect our networks, how we manage, maintain our networks?
Yeah, I mean, AI workloads are just fundamentally different. The amount of pressure that networks are experiencing right now because of AI workloads, both within the data center and in the wide area, is stunning. And this is why some of the technologies that we've sort of been dabbling in the labs, like liquid cooling technology and co-packaged optics, have now moved from a realm of nice to have into the realm of must have. Like the new QFX 5250 switch we just announced, over 100 terabits per second in a single switch, 100% liquid cooled. And we were able to tap into the liquid cooling capabilities that HPE has developed for decades as part of the supercomputing technology that HPE has been innovating in, and apply it to this switch gives us a significant advantage in the market.
100 terabits is
it's a lot.
Staggering throughput.
It's a lot. And, there will be customers that will need even more than that soon.
So when we're thinking about AI in our networks, presumably like low latency is crucial.
Yes.
With AI workloads.
Yes.
And so how are we addressing that?
So it goes back to your question about AI workloads and how AI sort of affects the requirements of networks. I mean, low latency is one attribute. High performance, no congestion. Congestion is absolutely evil for networks in the AI context, because at the end of the day, congestion results in using your very expensive GPUs less efficiently. Nobody wants to waste GPU cycles today. And the way to not waste GPU cycles is to have high performance, low latency, and congestion-free data center networks, which happens to be exactly what we know how to do really, really well.
Because your GPUs that maybe tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars,
yes,
they're a
like that
prime asset in your organization.
Absolutely,
you want to be using them flat out.
Absolutely,
so you don't want any congestion.
Nobody wants to spend millions of dollars in GPUs and then stinge out on a bad network that's going to use those GPUs at like 50% utilization. That's what we're doing. We're building the networks of the future that can keep up with all of the attributes of AI networks: low latency, high performance, congestion free. We've innovated not just in the hardware, but in the protocols, the software that can achieve all of these attributes.
Yeah, one of the things that I found really fascinating was the fact that the interconnect is Ethernet.
Yes. Yes.
Which I thought was quite fascinating, because Ethernet sort of feels like this little old standard from, 10 meg networks, but Ethernet's still...
Oh, Ethernet is still a thing. I mean, Ethernet has evolved over the years, but the thing about Ethernet is that it is an open industry standard. And that's typically, actually always, what wins out. Nobody wants closed in this industry. People want an ecosystem of players that can innovate in each layer of the network, each layer of the IT stack, which is why, I would never bet against Ethernet. And, one of the things that we announced at this show is the first Ethernet scale-up switch for the AMD Helios rack, which is a big deal in this industry.
All right, let's talk security. This feels like a really obvious question, but how important is security for networks?
Very.
Good, okay.
Very important. The one thing that every malware attack has in common is that it requires the network to do its dirty work. And so the good guys have to leverage the network to be a sensor of where security threats are, and to also be the policy enforcer of how to stop these threats. And especially if a threat happens to make some sort of penetration, to prevent the lateral spread of that threat. You cannot do this without a network that's inherently secure at its core, which is why we say, security can't be an afterthought. It can't be a bolt-on. It has to be built into the network for it to be effective.
Okay, and so what is HPE Networking doing to address those threats?
We've got all of the ingredients that are necessary to achieve the future of security. And the future of security is really around zero trust network access. All of our customers are moving in some way, shape, or form towards that future. Universal zero trust network access. And we've got all the ingredients: a world-class NAC solution, industry leadership in firewalls. In fact, the fastest firewall in the world, the SRX 4700, 1.4 terabits per second. I mean, it smokes anything else that's in the industry right now. Cloud security, not to mention SD-WAN, which is typically part of your security architecture. We've got all the ingredients to build an amazing solution for universal zero trust network access, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Where do you see the world of networking going in the future?
I really do believe it is towards the vision of self-driving. A lot of progress has been made, as I mentioned. I think we're sort of in the realm right now of assisted self-driving, where networks have the ability to understand the satisfaction of users and to make adjustments, but typically with some level of human involvement. the next step is to remove humans from the equation almost entirely and to let humans focus on much more strategic, forward-looking activities as opposed to just keeping the lights on. I think that's the future.
So currently there's a human in the loop, but the hope is that actually you won't need to have a human in the loop.
It's not even the hope. It's just a matter of time. It's sort of like what's happening with autonomous vehicles today, right? Who would have thought 5 years ago that you'd have cars roaming the streets of San Francisco and other cities around the world without drivers? This is happening today. There will be driverless networks.
What do you find most interesting about networking?
That's a good one. The thing that have always fascinated me about networks is that they have this incredible ability to overcome the limitations of any one person or thing. I mean, think about it, single GPU, great for gaming. But you connect 100,000 GPUs with a low latency, high performance network, and now you're accelerating the pace of finding cures for deadly diseases. So that's what a network is to me. It allows you to overcome the limitations of a one thing or one person. That's the mission that we're on. To me, I find this very motivational.
Rami, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on Technology Now.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Wow, I found it really interesting that he talked a lot about self-driving networks.
Yeah, I'd not really heard that concept before. It's that sort of concept of, today our networks maybe have some AI augmentation as part of it. It's like, this switch is going down or there's an issue here in your network. Would you like me to fix it for you? There's a human in the loop, sort of have to say, yes, I want you to do that. Or I'm going to make this configuration change. Do you think I should do it? And you go, yes. But yeah, what he talked about was like, you wouldn't have any of that. The network would just run itself. It would make configuration changes. It would make decisions and it would do it better than maybe, because it has so much access to so much data, better than any human can, which I thought was quite a fascinating sort of place that we'll eventually get to. The confidence that he had of like, absolutely, we're going to get there, I thought was just amazing. It was so good.
It sounds like it'll be able to sort of address its own problems. So self-driving and self-healing.
Yeah,
networks.
Absolutely. Which I think, networks are one of those things that are just, they can be so complicated. In so many of our organizations, sometimes it's just hard to wrap your head around how everything is working. So to have this sort of AI that understands everything, self-healing, self-driving, all that sort of stuff, I think I think it's really cool. So it sort of felt like the crescendo of that interview. It felt like the thing that we were sort of leading up to with all of these different developments that he talks about. So it's pretty cool.
I agree. I mean, it's a testament to what he's talked quite a bit about this week, the speed of progress.
Yeah.
We're on the precipice of things just continuing to compound. And
yeah.
There to be newer and newer advancements in AI and therefore in our network technology.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it last week, but liquid cooled switches. Come on. That's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, Sam, I do have a question for you. What is the geekiest bit of technology that you own?
Oh, gosh. Well, it probably depends on what direction you want to go with it, but I do own a liquid-cooled gaming PC.
Nice.
What about you, though? What do you own?
Well, I love home automation. Or as my wife thinks about it, basically breaking my home and making sure lights don't work at various points. But yeah, I love all that sort of stuff. The geekiest home automation thing I have is I have a sensor on my freezer. So if I leave the door open for a certain amount of time, it puts some lights on in the lounge because I basically kept leaving the freezer open. And I'm a new parent. Like I was just like too tired to shut it. So now the reason why I was asking you is because Rami is a self-declared geek and he has gone all the way when it comes to automation at home. So you're a geek. What's the geekiest bit of technology you own?
At home?
At home or anywhere, really.
I mean, I have everything automated. Automated thermostats, automated door locks, automated water sprinklers. If it exists, I pretty much own it.
You are speaking my language. So much so that my home automation broke when I was out and all my lights are currently stuck on in my house.
I can help you with that.
Okay, that brings us to the end of Technology Now for this week. Thank you to our guest, Rami Rahim. And of course, to our listeners, thank you so much for joining us.
If you've enjoyed this episode, please do let us know. Rate and review us wherever you listen to episodes. And if you want to get in contact with us, send us an email to technologynow@hpe.com. Subject line...
self-driving freezers.
Self-driving freezers. I love it, Sam. And don't forget to subscribe so you can listen first every week. Technology Now is hosted by Sam Jarrell and myself, Michael Bird, and this episode was produced by Harry Lampert and Izzy Clark, with production support from Alicia Kempson-Taylor, Becky Bird, Alyssa Mitri, and Renee Edwards. Our video editor was Leon Radzinsky-Gorman, and our music was, as always, composed by Greg Hooper.
Our social editorial team is Rebecca Wissinger, Judy Ann Goldman, and Jacqueline Green. And our social media designers are Alejandro Garcia and Ambar Maldonado.
Technology Now is a Fresh Air production for Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, and we'll see you at the same time, the same place next week.
Bye, y'all.
Cheers!